Okay. That was quick, huh? Right. um, so let me touch a little bit on this demonic realm. This house I was in was pure satanic. I mean, there was. Now you got to understand. I come from living under the bridge, meeting these people at work, and being accepted into this house. In this house, we did chores. We learned to do whatever, you know. When I was in seventh, my last part of seventh grade, no, I'm sorry, the beginning part, because I was down in West Virginia. And then we moved back to North Canton. And I finished seventh grade in North Canton and my eighth grade in North Canton Junior High. The Hoover Vikings. But, um, where was I going with that? I have no idea. Oh, the house. So, these people accepted me in there. A lot of trades we learned. You know, we learned cooking. I learned. Oh, that's where I was going. I took home ec in seventh grade because, again, wasn't a whole lot of opportunities, and I was bullied in seventh grade down there by three kids, mean mean kids. I don't remember the other two kids' name, but I'll never forget the one kid's name because the funny thing is his last name was the same as my grandfather's, which was Anderson. And ironically, when my uncle remarried uh, the wife that he's married to today, one of her sons' name was Daniel, and his name was Daniel Anderson. I'll never forget it. He was a bully, this kid. And I know I said I'd never say names, but I'm hoping one day this Daniel guy that was in Billington, West Virginia school, whatever school district that was, I don't remember. I just know we lived in between Billington and Junior, West Virginia. And I lived way back in the holla, per se, is what they would say. And um, it took me a long time to get over what you did to me. You know, you tripped me, made me fall, bust my knee open. You hit me with ball gloves. You tried to put my head in the toilet. Uh, you was just mean. Dump food trays over on me. It took a long time. I had a lot of hatred because of you. I just hope that nobody ever bullies your kids or you never got bullied. I had a feeling you probably had a bad childhood or something. And most bullies pick on people that don't want to fight back and stuff. Well, you know, I didn't want to fight. Later on, that's all I did. But I do forgive you. I do forgive you. Don't know if you even remember any of this, but I'm sure you probably, if you ever stumble across this, you probably would. I forgive you. May God have mercy on you. I love you, no matter what you've done to me. That's the peace I walk with today. Years ago, I wouldn't be able to even say any of this stuff. But, anyways, this house, there was stuff that would, I mean, you literally see things form into cats. Remember, I told you I knew two witches and I knew a warlock. The warlock was very powerful. He was very. He'd say something and it would happen quickly. I mean, he could literally cast a spell and you would stop talking. He literally could say something and you would go to sleep. That's how powerful this guy was. Some things would even pretty much put shivers down your spine. Some of the stuff he was capable of doing. I told you I could walk across candles and get candles to light and bring flames up. And the flames would touch right in the palm of my hand. And there was no flames, people. He taught me how to light candles by controlling the candles, by saying certain words. This is real. Seriously. The witches would teach me how to take hair from stuff and how to bind hair together and say certain chants. And you could put spells over top of people. Taught me how to flip tarot cards. This is stuff you learned in this house. See why the devil was able to do what he was able to do with me? Because I knew his world. I seen it from a child. The older I got, the less I got scared of it. When I went into hell with the Lord the second time, and I stared Lucifer straight in the eyes, I knew I was protected under Jesus, but I knew that I knew him. Because I've seen him before. I've seen him in dark alleys, walking, just laughing, this awful laugh. Many times, I'd fall into sin when I was trying to change my life, and he'd laugh. It's too easy. All I gotta do is present it. Your lust of your body loves it. It's too easy. I always thought I was a strong-willed person, which for most cases I was. I was able to stop alcohol because I put my mind to it. I wasn't doing it no more. Drugs, put my mind to it. I wasn't doing it no more. Fighting, put my mind to it. I didn't do it anymore. Turn the other cheek. Matter of fact, I told my wife something tonight that happened, and I'm confessing into Jesus forgiveness for acting of the world's ways. You ever see them pilot cars that go down the street that has the oversized low sign, the flashing light, and the flags? Well, there was two trucks pulling in this truck stop, and I'm coming up around, and another guy's coming around him. Well, the one truck's already backing in, but the other truck's waiting in line, so we go around them. Well, this pilot car starts to cut me off, so I shot up towards the fuel island, and I came back around all that and went down, spun around, backed in. Well, he comes up here and pulls his car up and starts yelling and screaming bad stuff to me, and it set a trigger. I don't know why it did, but it did. It set a bad trigger in me. And I mean, by the time I got my brakes set, he took off. And then he came back around later on, and he's standing there after I watched a state trooper leave, and I imagine it was probably his wife driving another pilot car. They come and park next to the trucks. The two drivers of the truck standing in front, and he's all standing there staring over at me, crossing his arms, doing all one of these things. And back in the day, I would have just got out of the truck and just went over there. I wouldn't even have cared. And all I kept thinking is, not today, Lucifer. Not today. You're not going to do it. You had me for a split second, but you're not going to do it. Shame on me. I'm not going to act like that anymore. Never. Turn the cheek. When is it okay not to? I don't know. I just know that them dark areas, I can't go into those areas because I know what awaits in these darknesses. Every room in this house had some kind of Ouija boards, candles, seances going on. There was chants going on. Halloween, say per se the 30th, because we know Halloween is the 31st. The 30th from midnight, the night before, the 29th, from midnight to October 31st, midnight, 12:01 to 12:01. So that's a stretch. Because you're figuring all the night of the 29th, after, which technically is the next day, but we still call it nighttime. In the demonic realm, you're up. We had to get up. We all had to get up, put the robes on, and go into different rooms. If you watched the video from last night, what did I say? Hell has different stages, different rooms, different areas. This house did too. We went into different rooms to do different things. The demons will torture you in different places in hell. We learn things from different rooms. You know, I could call on a spirit of strength just in a heartbeat. Power. You ever see them things that you punch and it shows you the PSI or however what your impact of the punch was? I had a heck of a punch. I will tell you that. But I take no credit for it because I know it wasn't me. It was whatever was in me. I had a pastor pray over me once on the phone. And I was at work. I was doing apartment maintenance, which I got a strong field in that. I mean, HVAC and landscaping. I've done landscaping for years. I've owned a small business and stuff. And but that's what, it just wasn't, I guess, in God's plan. Because, you lose it, you fight forever to get it back, and it just seems to get stripped away again. So I take it today that God didn't want me to do it. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with whatever God wants. Because I seek Him to find the answers of what He wants. But I don't even know where I was going with this. I'd have to go back and listen to it to go. But anyways, you're in this house in hell. It's the same thing. There's horrible events going on. Like I touched on last night, people that rape people will be raped. Their stuff will be ripped off of them and shoved inside of them. They will rip stuff out of the inside. I mean, it's horrible. I'm not saying what they did on earth was right. The Lord showed me once, a while back, a few months ago. I was in heaven, and I was in the judgment area in heaven, and this couple got in a car accident and died. They come, because right now you go before the throne and you're judged. You're either going to enter heaven or you're going to enter hell. When the rapture comes and we go to heaven, God, when the final hour comes and we're standing there and the new kingdom gets ready to load down, all this stuff's going to be wiped away. There's going to be no more trees, no more buildings, no more nothing. So the Lord, they were confessing into there, and this guy happened to be a pastor. And the wife and the pastor are saying, well, I did this, and I did this. And some of the stuff he was doing wasn't so pleasing. The wife said, I tried to warn you. It was all about money and all about numbers. He was all about, glorifying himself. The Lord accepted the wife and bound it told the angels to bind him in chains and cast him out of heaven. He fell straight into hell. That was it. When I went back the last time with Jesus into hell, I actually seen him crying out. Why? Why? And the Lord spoke to him. See, people know when Jesus is in hell because it's dark most of the time there, and Jesus is light. So, naturally, he's going to illuminate, and people are going to know his presence. It's like we know the devil's presence. Well, the same as there are different ages in heaven, there's different ages of kids and people in hell. There's a lot of wicked kids, a lot of wicked people. I mean, the Bible even speaks of children being possessed. Some of them are just plain seeds from hell, period. That, it happens. It's true. Some of these kids down there are horrifying to even look at them. It's one of those things where they say, forgive me, one of those things that they say the bump in the night. These things are the bump in the night. These things are the things will keep you awake at night. I go back into, I know I talked about Copley a few times, but that girl under the stairs, I'm telling you, there's still times when I walk at nighttime and going into a truck stop because it's night and I'm getting ready to leave. It's still dark. I'm telling you, there's times that I do believe I still see her. And it's horrifying. I mean, really, truly horrifying. I do remember what I was going to touch on when I was talking about being at work and stuff. But let me tell you a little bit about this other incidents and stuff. And I promise I'm not going to forget. But when I was in this house, like I said in the prior video, I was never allowed downstairs. I was never allowed to drink the blood. And I was never allowed to actually do a sacrifice or commit a sacrifice and actually commit to draining the blood out of an animal or anything like that. I was never allowed to do it. I was never allowed to take my own blood and mix it with animal blood because they did that. They all mixed their blood and they all partaked of each other's blood in the sacrifice. I don't know if it's true or not, but there's some weird stuff that happened in that base. I know I snuck down, and I know Sir seen me. And they had tables that had like troughs in the middle of them. They would drain blood, and underneath of this, it would all run into this. I'm sorry. It, it it went through a cycle per se, and they added the sacrifices, blood and stuff into this, and there was a platform and chairs, tables, a discipline section that if you didn't fulfill what you were supposed to, people got hit with switches and stuff, and their blood was also drained. And some of them I would watch turn pale white, and I wondered if they were going to die. And I remember one of the guys that I worked with, he when we came back out, he said that no, it's possible we don't die. He says, you don't understand, when you enter the covenant of this, you don't die. No matter what we do, we're invincible. I remember the night that I snuck down there. It was on Halloween Eve, I guess you want to call it. And it was about 12:45 to 1 o'clock in the morning. And they're doing their rituals. And that's the night Sir caught me. And he said I had to be punished because he was told me that I was not allowed to ever come down there. And now he would have to answer to it. And at that moment, when I turned around and I seen the gentleman sitting, per se, on the platform, he lowered his hood. His eyes were like hypnotizing. And I heard him speaking to me in my mind, saying, it's okay. You know, just come to me. And I seen his nails, and they were stained with blood. And people, what I'm telling you, I've never told anybody. I've told my wife. She was really about one of the first people I've ever opened up to about any of this stuff. I never told her why I ran out of the house that night. He says, here's your option. You now will either bow down to me, surrender unto me, or we're going to sacrifice you. So no one else will disobey. I was going to be the example. And I ran. I don't know. I had now granted, I ran all the time. It was nothing unusual for me to run. I was a fast runner. Can I outrun the devil? No. The demon? No. They're spiritual. It's in a spiritual realm. I mean, I've watched stuff come in and out of walls in this place. I've watched dogs sit in a corner, and then they look like a wolf, then it looks like a demon, it looks like a kid sitting on the floor, it turns around and it just screams at you, per se. You didn't care. This was every day. 24 hours a day there was something going on. 24 hours a day there was someone doing chants and doing some kind of nonsense. But there was a church right up on top of the hill. There was a big cemetery on one side and a cemetery right behind it, and then there was an elementary school. Go figure, huh? I mean, what a heck of a place to put churches and cemeteries and schools. I'm thinking, even then I always thought, what a weird place. And I ran to this church. The ironic thing is that there was nobody there, but the pastor there forgot his briefcase. And he was on his way to some kind of speaking or something, turned around and come back, and he told me the Lord spoke my name to him. Told him exactly what I was going to be wearing. Now at this point, I'm panicking. I'm freaking out. I don't know where to go. And I know I'm so frightened I can't even go back to that place. So the guy pulls in and asked me if I wanted to come in. And I said, yes. And I ran through there. And all I could think about is, where do they go to talk to any Jesus, God, anybody, anything? You know, I'm thinking I'm in a church. There's got to be rules to this because there's rules in this house. So he took me into the sanctuary and we're sitting there and we're just talking. And I didn't know he was a pastor. I didn't know anything about this guy. And he called me by my name, and I remember looking over at him, and I'm going, how in the world do you know my name? You know, and it's like, remember what I said? You want proof? There's plenty of proof. It's what we're going to believe and what we're not going to believe. He even asked me then if I wanted to receive Jesus Christ. No. At that point, I figured I'd be better off not being in this world. Remember, I told you there's 4 times that I tried to commit suicide. And after I left, that was my first attempt. That was the darkest of the darkest days that I've ever spent in my life. There's some things that I'm thankful that I lived through. And there's some things that I don't deserve God's mercy, and I don't deserve the Lord to forgive me. But I'm thankful that they do. And I'm thankful that the things I've done in my life that won't be held against me, because I repented from this. And this was a dark, dark night for me. Probably one of the darkest nights I've ever seen it in my whole entire life. And you know, you do things sometimes, and it kind of haunts you, I guess, to say, God created me, but yet the demonic realm is powerful. And you know, not knowing not knowing Jesus or God, just the devil always had an upper hand. Okay, and he played his cards very well. Some things I'm glad that I still can remember that Jesus don't remove, because it keeps me from going back to that dark place. And it's horrible, people. I mean, it's horrible to have that kind of hate and that realm of evil. It's horrible to walk into hell and to witness things. You have no idea. You have no idea what's awaiting if you do not make it into heaven. I wouldn't wish the worst people in the world, anybody that has done wicked things to me or hurt me, I would never wish them to go there. You have no idea. None. And I hope the heck you never have to see it. And I hope if you're being influenced or seeing activities in your own home that you're able to watch these and understand there is a way out. There is a way out. I made it. By the power of Jesus, I made it. So, the house I was telling you about with the girl and the boy, they end up moving out. I end up moving in the place. And I found a lot of satanic stuff in this house. A lot of things happened. Even moving in, I would see things. I I was the only one in the house. I'd come back in the house, and the cabinet doors would be open, hallway cabinets be open. There was a closet going into the bathroom. It was a closet. I'd put clothes baskets and stuff in it, and games and stuff like that. And there was an attic trap door like thing on the top. Well, that thing would constantly be open. The doors would constantly be open. Uh, I would come out of the shower sometimes because I was moving stuff in. Nobody was living in the house. I was cleaning the house out and doing stuff. And the things I would say, I'm like, here we go again. But it calmed down. After I was with my kids' mother, but we weren't really per se together. It was kind of like, you do your own thing, I do my own thing, and in the process of the kids, we'll make it look like this. That's such a great idea. I could go into another story on that, but it was what it was. I mean, at least I got to see my kids, and I didn't have all this money going out in the child support, and then paying all the bills and paying all this stuff, and then trying to pay where I was at. I mean, people, there was weeks that, I mean, I just ate peanut butter out of a jar. Couldn't even afford bread because of everything else I was paying. So it kind of calmed down a little bit, but there was times down there that I'd hear it would say stuff, and I'd tell it, no, get away from me. I'd lay in bed that night, blankets would fly off me. But again, I'd just get up and scream at it, get in the blanket and run back into bed and go back to sleep. It'd shake my bed, no big deal. But then my wife now moves in, and these kids were dabbling in stuff that they shouldn't have been. The one daughter started dating the girl behind the house, and they were sneaking them in. Everything just started opening up panels. Now, don't forget the people in there. Before that, the girl, I found a Ouija board. I took it out back, threw it there was a burn pit out back, and I lit this thing on fire, people. The next morning I get up, and it's kind of burnt. It's sitting on where the sliding door was to go outside to the back porch that was screened in, sitting right up on the top where I wouldn't miss it. I mean, as soon as I looked at come into the kitchen area, the door was right in front. Like I'm looking at you, that would have been a sliding door. I looked straight down on the Ouija board, upright. I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I knew the trash was coming that day, so I threw it in the trash. I made sure I left the lid open so I could see it. I literally watched that thing dump into the trash truck. Next morning, you got it. Right on the back patio again, right on that sliding door. And I'm like, okay. So I took it to work. Broke it. I buried it. 2 separate places. I can't close that portal. Only that girl could have done that. I got sick of looking at that thing going bored. So they moved in, and it didn't take long. And I heard the voices speaking, we don't like her. Get her out of here. I said, no. Leave her alone. Leave the kids alone. We don't like her. We don't like these kids. Do you know what these kids are doing? They're nasty. We like that. Anything that's against God, we love it. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, in the meantime, I started going back to church. I wasn't going every Sunday because work wise and stuff. Um, but I did go back and forth into churches, and I started reading the Bible again. And it would hide my Bible. I'd find it in weird places. I mean, one time I went to get it, and it like slung out of my hand clear across the basement and slid. Every time I went to pick it up, it would throw it into the other directions. And, this is what would go on in this house. And I remember one particular incident that my daughter came home from school and she was just in a bad mood, I guess. And she just kept. And when their mom finally left, I mean, she pretty much emptied the house out. She left their stuff, and it took the oldest daughter and her youngest of her sons, and left. Pretty much emptied the house. I mean, furniture, everything, and so she's going on and on and on, and I'm over there cooking, and I'm telling you, I had this vision. I'm like, if she just doesn't shut up. I just walked over there and just slammed her head down on this table. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? For a split moment, I turned, and all I could say was, Jesus, no. And it quit. I stepped outside for a few seconds to breathe, and I stood out there shaking, going, oh my gosh, something's not right. Well, then everybody moves into the house. And like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of deceiving ways, a lot of lying, a lot of theft, a lot of things going back and forth. I mean, it got to the point where the cabinets would be open all the time. I mean, it was like normal to me, but I guess you know, they're not used to that stuff. They're not used to seeing none of that stuff. It would freak them out. One night, my wife went in there to get popcorn and stuff, and I had this black bowl thing that had little stones and candles and stuff in it, and rock got thrown at her, not once, but I believe it was like 3 times that rocks were tossed across the room at her. And our bed would get pulled out. You'd go down there and there'd be crosses hanging upside down, not on a nail because where the piece was, it was now upside down. You walked up and touched it, it would just slide down there. So there was nothing. What was holding it in place? Demonic. You'd see hoof prints coming from the pine tree, coming all the way up to the 1 bedroom window, which makes sense because that's where the girl held all of her seances and stuff at. And it doesn't surprise me one bit, but I have also seen them footprints way before even this time comes. I've seen it from a little child, and it was always coming from a pine tree. So that kind of stuff doesn't really faze you too much. But it got worse, people. It got worse. They were mocking this stuff, and now granted, my hearing wasn't healed yet because we didn't move down to Florida yet, and this stuff just kept getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, I had bad anger. I mean, I threw bowls in the sinks and busting bowls. I mean, these kids would start getting mouthy, and I just like took everything in me to hold back from lashing out at him. I mean, it just I've watched the Amityville Horror, and I'm thinking, man, how could something like that happen? It happened to me in that house. I'm telling you, when I was in that house, I could not escape this. I mean, it just overcome me. I mean, the anger, the hatred. I mean, I literally just hated everything. My attitudes, my tempers. I mean, it would just anything would set me off. And when the demonic presents itself, you start getting cold. You know, your body temperature starts to change. And I know times when I would feel these things go through me, and sometimes it would just knock you, throw you on your back, and when it passed through you, a couple times I literally had to call out to get these things out of me. We were playing video games one night. I mean, a board game, and heard some little girl scream. And I'm like, this isn't good. I had the laptop on, and uh, the battery died. While we were listening to music, because I was big at downloading music then and making CDs and stuff. And the song that it started playing, I'm like, okay, this isn't good. You know, get goosebumps just thinking about this stuff. Um, there was times I literally thought that I possibly could have killed people in this house. I mean, it scared me. I mean, there was times I'd go look in the mirror and I wouldn't see myself. I knew something bad was taking place. I'd go through blackouts and not even know what the heck was going on in this house. I'd wake up the next day and there'd be tables overturned, stuff all over walls, and all they can do is just, you know, I watched a video that my daughter recorded, and um, I just couldn't believe what I seen. I mean, you know, when you're a father and you would do anything to protect your family. I remember the one night before my wife now moved in. Um, Granted, I already tried once that I don't want to talk about. The time that I hung myself and went to hell. The other time is I pulled my truck into the garage there at this same house, and because things were going on and I couldn't escape it. And I asked the Lord, just let me go to sleep. And the weird thing about a car is, you know, you start getting tired, and you're in a garage, and it just um, you just I imagine you probably just fall asleep, and I was close to it. And the garage door opened up. I went to click the button, and the garage door went back down. So I'm thinking, oh, this is going to take forever if this keeps happening. The garage door went back up. So I took the remote out, and I took the garage door, put it back down, pulled the string, hit the button, and that lever goes all the way back up there. Well, the only way then to get that back down, either bring it down and pull the garage door to where it clicks back into place onto that mechanism that slides, which pulls the garage up and down. People, that garage opened up. The mechanism was already back at the beginning of the motor. That garage door opened up, and I heard the chain going clunk, 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 clunk. I'm thinking, how in the heck is that happening? If the bracket's clear up there and the garage is clear over here, what is opening that garage door? Well, needless to say, I shut that truck off, and I didn't try that again. That wasn't a demonic. That was Jesus. So, I woke up in the middle of the night. I was in the basement. My daughter slept right above me. My son was, if you went down the hallway, he was the first door. Across from him was the bathroom. Like I said, that girl came out, went straight across, went to the bathroom. There was a bedroom. I woke up. I had this awful, awful dream. And through this, I walked back down the basement and I seen myself laying in bed. I'm like, I'm out of my body. This is no dream. This is real. This is going to happen. And I remember falling back into my body. I got out of bed and I went up the stairs. I went outside. At that time, the back door wasn't blocked off in the garage. Went to my toolbox, grabbed the key, unlocked my safe, and I put one bullet in that gun. I spun that revolver around, and I had the bullet right there. I cocked it back. It was kind of like an old Western pistol. Pulled it back, and I'm like, no way. No way am I going to let happen what just happened. No way. And I remember standing there and I said, Lord, please forgive me. Please don't let me go to hell. But the demons are too powerful. Put the gun up to my head, and I said, "No. What if it goes through there and blows part of my skull out, makes me have brain dead or something?" And I thought about putting it in my ear, and I'm going, "No." I said, "God, I'll just stick it in my mouth." And I pointed it upwards. Now, granted, that thing's already cocked. That bullet is in place. Once I pull that trigger, that's it. Pulled it, click. Pulled it, click. It was an 8 shot. Click, 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 click. As fast as my finger could move, and just pulled the trigger down. Bam, 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 bam. Nothing. I pulled the gun out on the last pull, and I already pulled the trigger, people. That gun should have went off. I'm thinking, maybe I didn't put the bullet in. Maybe I thought I did, and I didn't. As soon as I pulled it out, it fired. I kept that shell for the longest time. For the longest time. There was so much stuff in that house. But look at all the stuff that they toyed around with. And the ironic thing is, the youngest daughter that was dating that girl ended up a couple years ago getting back with her, and now they're married. It's an abomination, people. But yet she blames me. It's my fault. Because the devil got in her head. And the thing of it is, I would have laid my life down for that girl. and she sees me as a devil. I'm sorry for what haunts your dreams, but it's not me. I would have took my life for any of them. But I was at work, and this is why I do these videos, and I mean what I say. I'll pray with you. I will do everything I can on the authority of Jesus Christ. I was at work and I talked to a pastor on the phone, and he prayed a certain prayer over me. And I felt like something ripping on the inside, like clawing me from the inside, trying to hold itself in me. And the weird thing is I had claw marks for a while across my chest. And it just kept, like, I just kept feeling my body move, and it was like something was happening. I've never felt this before. And he just kept on, and he kept saying, the power of the Lord's blood is over you. I rebuke you from this person. I fell back against the wall, and I fell backwards, and I fell down. And I'm sitting on my butt, and my back and stuff's up against the wall, and I watched it come through me. And as it turned around, it said, it's not over. It disappeared. And all I could do was cry. I got this pastor on the phone, and he was like, are you okay? And he says, I heard whatever that was speak. I said, for once, I'm not going insane, am I? You know, when you watch pop cans in that house crumble and beds be tore off against the wall and pictures, there was one of the kids' friends that were over. We had shelves up, and an angel come off of the shelf, floated down in front of her, went all the way over to where the main entrance door was. There was a closet right there where you put coats and stuff, and it sat itself right down there. She would never step foot back in that house. Ever. Because of what she's seen that night. I don't quite know what she's seen, but I know it wasn't just enough for that angel. I mean, it could have been, but I don't think so. She didn't even want to talk about it. Don't toy around with this stuff, people. You don't want attachments. You don't want demonic things inside your house, because once it takes into your house, oh my goodness. You know, I've walked in people's houses and I've seen demons. I've walked in there and I've seen stuff sitting on shelves and people's things, and then they wonder why they have attachments. They wonder why things are going on in their life. Excuse me. But, I don't know. I didn't think I would ever talk about some of this stuff. But, like I said, you know, I pray the Lord speak through me what he wants people to hear. So, obviously, this must be needed. I told you to give a testimony of life. You tend to walk in the places where someone has lived it because you believe it, because they've been there. I didn't go to no school and learn this stuff. I learned it by living it. So, that being said, I'm going to stop this video, and again, I pray no attachments, nothing over you. I pray that God opens your spiritual eyes and God opens your hearing. I pray for protection over you. I pray the Lord Jesus Christ's blood over you. And I pray that you will be blessed. You will be able to start examining yourselves so that way you can truly accept the Lord Jesus Christ if you don't have him as your personal Savior. And again, I ask for a godly mentor, and I ask for leadership, and I ask for protection over you. I ask for the blood of the Christ be over you, and I ask the strongholds of the devil's chains be broken, and I ask for all these removals of anything that's in your life, that anything that's trying to bind you and hold you onto this earth or into the pits of hell be let go. God bless you, people. God bless you. May the Lord keep you safe. May your dreams be protected from the enemy, and may you have peaceful dreams. And please, people, examine your house, examine yourself, please. And God bless you. I love you. Till the next video.